Prototype 2 is a perfect example of when a game breaks a promise it made to itself. The original Prototype is an open world game released in 2009 where you play as Alex Mercer, a scientist who gets infected by the Black Light virus, which gives him superhuman abilities such as super strength, speed, healing, and the ability to transform his body in various ways. The central plot of the game has you exploring an infected version of New York in your attempt to discover how the virus was created, how you became infected, and how the infection spread to New York, all while fighting various military troops and infected monsters. By the end of the game, you discover the virus's origins and also discover that you aren't really Alex Mercer, but the remnants of Alex's memories reanimated by the Black Light virus.
But there is no Alex Mercer anymore. The virus didn't just kill him, it became him. Copied his body down to the genetic level. It became me. I am the virus. And I, in turn, released Elizabeth Green to infect the city a second time.
Allowing you to exist as something more than human and also something less.
What have I become? Something less than human, but also something more.
During the game, you encounter Elizabeth Green, who is essentially the precursor to Alex Mercer. She is a survivor of the original virus test performed in Hope, Idaho. You eventually confront and defeat her. However, by completing the web of intrigue missions, you learn of a child that Green had. Codenamed Pariah, Elizabeth Green's child is said to be the perfect incarnation of the Black Light virus, as he is a natural release of uncoded regions of the human genome.
Yes. If Green was an imperfect release of non-coding regions of the genome, and Mercer was something more, what if Pariah was a perfect realization of all the non-coding regions in the genome?
Not only do we learn of him and his sociopathic nature, we are also given explicit statements on how bad it would be if him and Alex ever came across each other.
I have my theories. Mercer might be the artificial activation of non-coding regions, something achieved by genetic manipulation. Pariah is a natural release of things buried in the genome. I have a feeling it might be extraordinarily bad if they ever met face to face.
Because we never encounter him in the first game, and with the way this encounter was hyped up, you would assume that he would be the central antagonist of the sequel. So you can already imagine the disappointment I felt when that wasn't the case. Not only was Pariah nowhere to be found, you no longer play as Alex, and to top off this sad slice of disappointment pie, Alex is now the antagonist, and the whole plot revolves around him turning evil. This is not how you make a sequel. I can understand if there wasn't enough narrative tissue to build upon, but there was. To make matters worse, you guys are the ones that created those narrative threads. No matter how incredible the sequel looks or plays in comparison to the prior game, if it doesn't follow the story left behind by the original game, then there's no point in it being made. Another game that this one gets compared to a lot is Infamous. In it, you play as Cole McGrath, an average Joe who gets empowered by electricity after being tricked into delivering a bomb. In that game, the central story revolves around you becoming strong enough to take on the main antagonist, Kessler. However, this turns out to be all part of Kessler's master plan to help you become strong enough to face a being known as the Beast. It's revealed that Kessler is Cole from a future where the Beast took over, and his whole plan was to go back in time and make you gain powers earlier than you were supposed to, which in turn would prepare you for when the Beast arrives. Though the Beast never appears in that game, he is the central antagonist of the direct sequel. This is how you fulfill a promise in a story. If you build towards something, you have to deliver in some way, shape, or form. You can subvert expectations by putting a spin on the delivery of your promise. However, that subversion still has to be relevant to the story that was initially built. The developers' official reason for why they decided to go with a different character is because they couldn't see Alex facing much opposition due to becoming a demigod by the end of the first game, but this is such a lazy cop-out. Infamous faced the same challenges, but was able to find a way to not only build upon the storyline that was teased, but also implement it in a way that didn't feel contrived. Video games as a whole, since the beginning of time, have been able to build upon prior stories in order to make new content that honors the previous work and also builds on it, so I cannot accept the developer's reasoning. Even though the franchise is currently dead, I still have hope that in this era of remakes and remasters, someone decides to revive this once popular IP and deliver to us the sequel that we were promised but never received.